G'day, I'm Sweeney and this is Under the Choco Tree. Today I want to talk to you about sowing seeds into punnets. A question you might want to ask is which seeds are sown into punnets and which you wouldn't bother with. And the answer is generally that the larger seeds, so peas, beans, corn, pumpkin, that sort of thing, can be sown directly where you're going to grow them. If you have punnets that have the 6 cells, so they're a bit larger, a bit more room, sometimes you can plant into those if you've got enough of them. But otherwise the larger seeds go directly into the soil. If you want to plant root crops like carrots, parsnips, turnips, beetroot, that sort of thing, they must be planted directly into the ground. They do not transplant well, and so it's really important to make sure that you put those exactly where you're going to grow them and then thin them out at a later stage if you need to. Everything else can go in a punnet. Today I want to talk to you about how you can take some of that seed raising mixture that we made yesterday and put it into punnets and use it to raise your vegetable seedlings. But first need to talk quickly a little bit about seed, because the better the seed you start with, the better the quality vegetables you're going to get at the end. The best seed you can use is the stuff that from vegetables you grow yourself, but if you're not growing vegetables yet, you need a place to start, and the best place to start is your local seed savers group. They will have all sorts of vegetables there, vegetable seeds they can offer you. If you don't have access to a seed savers group, then go with one of the more ethically based seed companies like Eden Seeds, Phoenix or Green Harvest. Alright, we also need to talk a little bit about the punnets that you're going to use. This is probably the more common one that you see when you buy your seedlings from your hardware or nursery. Contains anything up to 10 seedlings. Now, you know what it's like when you go into your nursery and you buy a punnet full of lettuce, and there are 10 lettuce seedlings. You plant them all out, and unless you really like lettuce, your family goes through a lot of lettuce, what tends to happen is you'll pick 2 or 3, and by that time the rest are going to bolt up to seed. So the process we use here is a little different. I use punnets that look like that for most of my planting, so it has 8 different cells. So what we do is we go through, apply the seed raising mix to the punnet, put the seeds in a different type for each cell, label them up, and then let them go. So I'll show you how we do that now. So with our filled punnet, I'm now going to put some of the seeds in. It's a good idea to work out just how deep you need to sow them, and generally you can find this just by looking at the diameter of the seed that you're working with, and you want to have that 2 to 3 times the diameter under the surface of the punnet. So I'm going to sow some tatsoi, one of the Japanese greens, and all I do is open it up, shake it into my hand, put a couple of seeds down, and then apply some more seed raising mix. So you can see there. Now the idea is that needs to be flat on top, because what will happen is you're going to keep this moist, and if you've got a depression there, you've got a really great place for moist, still air to sit, and that favours fungus. So you don't want to get damping off, which kills your seedlings. So by having flat on the top, you get good air drainage. Now I remember now what that is, but when I come back in a couple of days' time to check on it, I probably won't, so I'm going to use one of these labels and place it on there. Now these are pretty cheap, but you don't have to use those. You can get yourself some empty ice cream containers, cut them into small strips and use those instead. They'll usually take a texture or a pencil fairly well. The thing I suggest that you don't do is you don't use wooden paddle pop sticks, because what happens is they then become, apart from the fact that you can't read them because they become so fungusy you can't read what you've written on them, you also wind up with them acting as a locus of infection. So they can start with your, they can start the fungal infections. Next thing you know, you've got damping off and all your seedlings are dead. So that's a pretty bad idea. Best thing to do, something nice, inert plastic that goes in there. Fill them up so it's flat on the top. You need to keep it moist, and if you do, here's one I prepared earlier. That's what it looks like. So you've got a whole stack, up to 8 different veggies, all growing up, and these are ready to be potted on. So I'll be showing you how to pot those on into newspaper pots in the next video.